America is a nation divided politically, economically, and socially. In the middle of a pandemic, some Americans are still arguing over wearing masks. Income inequality and unemployment are at record highs as protesters march day after day in cities across the country. So how did we get here? And what can we do to restore some kind of balance? That's the subject of the new book, Tyranny of Merit: What's Become of the Common Good? The author of that new book, Michael Sandel, joins me now. He's also a professor of government at Harvard University. Professor Sandel, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Good to be with you.
So can you first unpack the title for us? What do you mean by the tyranny of merit? I mean, we've all been taught that meritocracy is a good thing, certainly better than a system that primarily rewards those born into privileged backgrounds, right?
Yes, that's true. Merit is, for most purposes, a good thing and a noble aspiration. And yet, if you look at our polarized politics, the rancor, the resentment, the sense of grievance, even humiliation among many working people, a lot of it has to do with the sense that elites are looking down on them, meritocratic elites. And so I think we need to take seriously the divide between winners and losers that has been deepening in recent decades, and ask how it came about and whether the attitudes of those on top, believing that their success is their own doing, may have something to do with it.
So interesting, because people would also argue that the meritocracy in this country is sort of a mirage, that underneath it is based all sorts of privileged backgrounds anyway. But we are on the cusp of an election, so let's talk about that in the sense that something that you wrote in your book focuses on the 2016 presidential election. I want to read part of it. Resentment born of humiliation is the most potent political sentiment of all. So why do you think that is? And has President Trump been able to tap into that sentiment successfully?
Yes, the deepest source of Trump's political appeal is his ability to tap into the politics of resentment. And Joe Biden and the Democrats had better figure out how they can respond to the grievances that animate a great many working people, especially white blue-collar workers, because they were the key to Trump's election in 2016. And I don't think that the Democrats can assume that because Trump has botched the pandemic and violated constitutional norms and inflamed racial justice, that the voters will toss him out. They have to figure out a way to speak to the grievances, the sense of humiliation experienced by a great many working people who have seen the dignity of the work they do eroded during the decades of market-driven globalization. The Democrats need an answer to that question.
It's interesting. Yeah, so let's talk about how globalization has spread the rewards unevenly, and whether you see Biden successfully able to also tap into those grievances. As you know, he's a great supporter of unions, for instance.
Right. Well, that's potentially a strength. It's interesting to notice that Joe Biden is the first Democratic nominee in 36 years not to have graduated from an Ivy League college or university, and that is a potential strength because Democrats by 2016 had lost contact with a large portion of their traditional blue-collar constituency. They had become a party more attuned to the values and the outlook of the professional classes, the college-educated classes. And I think that's connected to the ability of Trump to capture the sense of grievance and resentment. After all, we've had a deepening divide between rich and poor. Globalization has not bestowed its rewards evenly, far from it. The median white working male actually has a lower income than, in real terms, than 40 years ago. So Democrats need an answer to that question, and they need to focus directly on the dignity of work, how to make things better for people who may not have a university degree, but who make important contributions through the work they do, the families they raise, and the communities they serve.
And so how do you suggest that we as a society then start mending those fences when it comes to our polarized political landscape and to the inequalities in our society? How do we go forward for the common good, as you put there? Because, when you talk about some of the grievances and the humiliation that working class people feel, how as a society do we need to address those?
Well, you're right. The common good is what's really missing from our politics with this deep polarization and the intense partisanship. I think Democrats need to focus less on seeing the answer to inequality being that a few people, relatively speaking, who get a university degree can, through individual mobility, overcome the inequality. Individual mobility, first of all, it's very difficult to rise if you're born poor, to rise to affluence or even the middle class in America now. Social mobility is stalled. More than that, most Americans don't have a four-year college degree, and we should recognize that. Nearly two-thirds don't. So we need an agenda about the dignity of work. We need to invest more heavily in forms of education beyond brand name universities, prestigious colleges and universities, including community colleges, technical and vocational training, not only as a way of supporting working people and the learning they need to enter the economy, but also as a way of bolstering the respect, the dignity, and the self-esteem of everyone. We live in a highly segmented society by class, and Democrats need to face this head on if they're to heal. If any political party or political leader is to contribute to healing the slipping away of a sense of the common good in our public life.
Yes, it's true. For so long, excellent public state colleges were really a stepping stone from the lower class to the middle class, and those have been eroded so much over the years. Professor and author Michael Sandel, thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure speaking with you.
Good to be with you. Thank you.